Hello, welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk at Black Hat USA. I'm Kelly Jackson-Higgins, Editor-in-Chief at Dark Reading. And with me today, I have Brian Monkman, Executive Director of NetSecOpen, and Fernando Montenegro, Senior Principal Analyst of Omdia. Hello.
Hi there. Thanks for inviting us.
Welcome. So I want to first start, because not everybody knows about NetSecOpen. So maybe, Brian, you could tell us a little about what NetSecOpen is, what its mission is.
NetSecOpen is a business association made up focusing on the cybersecurity space, consisting of security product vendors, test labs, and test tool vendors. The goal is to create standardized test requirements that any lab that's accredited can execute on and produce, we hope, apples to apples results. So you could look at a vendor's data sheet that was tested by one of our accredited labs, and then another vendor had the same data sheet using against the same standards, and you have confidence that you're being able to compare similar numbers. Unlike today, it's kind of like the wild, wild west right now.
Yeah, I've been covering that space back in the day, and it's been kind of a fraught area, right? There hasn't been really like a true, unbiased place to get that information, right? So that's what you all are trying to...
That's the goal, yes, absolutely.
Okay, and it's specifically network security products, right? You have
Correct.
Okay, great. So I know we talked a while ago about a standard that you all were working on that would be an IETF plus standard. Can you tell us where that stands?
It has been formally adopted by the IETF as an informational RFC, and it was a long process. We learned an awful lot throughout it, but it was a worthwhile process because we look at it as we developed a body of work that we gave back to the community by having it published by the IETF. So that means anybody could take the test specs and run tests themselves. The only difference between what we're doing from, we accredit labs to do the tests, and we make sure that they follow things and do things in a certain way, make sure it's reproducible, the whole bit.
I should have asked you first, talk about the types of things you're testing for.
Well, right now we're focusing on next generation firewalls, next generation IPSs. The test requirements are all the key things that you would think both of those products would have. The key difference, though, I think, in what we're doing is that we're requiring that the product be configured once to address everything that's in the test. So no tweaking as you're going along and massaging things to get better numbers and so on. So we all know that if you have malware coming on it, your performance results are going to drop off. And security product vendors come into the program knowing exactly that. So, but it's an important thing. Enterprises really like that, and like to know that what they're looking at is going to be something approaching real life.
So how do you get all these vendors to agree to put themselves out there like that?
Well, I've developed a pretty good ability to herd cats. That's the tough one, getting the agreement, and that's one of the reasons why it's taken as long as it has. Is because you're building consensus. Sometimes you got to try to thread the needle between being a dictator sometimes and knowing when to just stand back and let the conversation flow. And I think we've done a pretty good job, and we're taking the lessons learned and moving forward and developing things. We hope in a more rapid manner.
So, just from the enterprise perspective, maybe you could address this, Fernando. From what you see out there, how hard is it, for enterprise security team to get good, solid information about how to compare different products they're looking at in the network security space?
Well, it is a problem, and I'll go back to very early in my career. I was doing those kinds of implementations, right? I was taking those spreadsheets, I was running those network security products through the staging environment, and I was finding wildly different performance numbers. Yep. And it was interesting because I remember going to a more senior engineer at the time, and I said, "But look, those numbers don't match." And they would look at me and said, "Come on, everybody knows this, right? Those numbers, you don't. You're so naive. Oh, the young one, etc. Right?" So it has been a perennial problem, and in our view, information security is becoming essential, critical. we use the term digital dependence, right? It's here, and one of the characteristics of that is that we are going to need much more stringent buying processes to account for, this infrastructure is critical. Right now, enterprises are spending a lot of their time running through the same gauntlet that I had to run many, many years ago. And we're really looking forward with the efforts such as NetSecOpen to get this through, to simplify that process. Right?
So the word open really strikes me in your name, right? And so you're talking about vendors. How are you balancing vendors and open?
And what, sorry?
Open, the word open. So I think open source, I know that's not what you mean,
So,
but open to...
Very simply put, for example, vendors are going to be in control of how the information is released until it's actually released.
Okay.
And then once the information is released, as in published as a certification or whatever, the test methodology is freely available. Configuration of the vendor's product will be made available to anybody who's interested. The baseline configuration of the test tool, the same thing. We produce our reports based on the raw data. I'm investigating the possibility of sharing this raw data with online entities that can then produce searchable databases to look at that. But the important thing. Having NetSecOpen produce reports is really only a small piece of the puzzle. It's tying all of this together, which is one of the reasons why we've established a partnership with Omdia, because it's great to have all these reports up there, but you need to make sense of it. So we need a partnership from from an independent entity like Omdia to be able to take these reports, pull them together, interpret them, and produce a group report that has Omdia analysis on top of it. And having an independently produced group report is good, because I think you really need to have an arm's length relationship with group reports like that, for them to be credible. I think if you have a group report produced by the same entity that's doing the testing, you're only asking for questions, and you're only going to wonder how valid are these results, because so many vendors will not be some vendors won't be happy, because there's going to be winners and losers and so on.
Yeah.
But at least if you have an expert, like Fernando here,
You get to take the arrows, is that what happens?
basically.
So tell us about what you guys are doing with these reports, like how you're...
So we're working together as the reports are coming out, and we're looking at them as one aspect of a broader profile of vendors, right? Because the performance characteristics and of key devices, very important, the security characteristics under load are key, right? Because that's what we're trying to organize. That's what enterprises are looking for. Okay, how will
So
these
it's not
things?
just performance, it's
No.
also
It's security characteristics under load,
Right.
And then those things, like Brian said, those things are a component to a broader view of a vendor, because we're talking to them. Okay, so tell us from a strategy perspective, where are you taking these products? Tell us from a pricing perspective, where are you with these products, so that enterprises can get closer to a price per megabyte comparison, like a price per, and that makes it for a more mature selection process. I go back to my catnip of security economics, right? We are. As security becomes more critical, we have to look at these things as a more rational economic decisions, and efforts such as these are a phenomenal step in that direction.
So we're coming at the end of our time. Tell me how you can get access to these reports now if you're an organization looking for this information.
They're going to be posted on the NetSecOpen website.
Okay, and they're free?
And free of charge.
Okay.
And no registration wall behind,
Okay, so there's
in front
no
of-
concerns
that's
about the
goal.
vendors coming to pitch you afterwards?
One key thing I'd like to touch on just before we wrap up is that we want enterprises to be involved.
Okay.
There is really four four categories in the wheel. You got the test tool vendors, you got the labs, you got the security product vendors, and we really should have enterprises involved. And because so often you'll hear, a security product vendor say, well, that sort of feature or functionality that you're looking at including isn't important because, enterprises don't seem to be interested in it. I'd like to have some way to validate that. I'd love to have enterprises involved in some capacity, be it an advisory group, be it enterprises that would come to our meetings and disagree with some of the things that are out there. We're looking behind the scenes participants. We're looking for public participants. I would love it if somebody, an enterprise that was interested, would reach out to myself or Fernando and say, hey, how can we work with NetSecOpen?
Yeah, I think that would be key because I think most organizations would like to have a way to have a voice in that too. Mm-hmm. Thank you both for catching us up on this really important project. That was Brian Monkman with NetSecOpen and Fernando Montenegro with Omdia. Kelly Jackson Higgins, we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back. Thank you.